right. Yeah, you walk up to a classroom. There's probably three are on standing. Two of them are from the gear grinder, and then there's another one from another team. They all have a drink in hand, and they seem to have a good time talking, hanging out. You come up, thank them, and give you they appreciate they appreciate that you enjoy what they did because they had such a good time doing it. Yeah, I think. Yeah, you see on the uniform that it's Wardy and Damien who's standing there with um, what would this be? It would be, let's go with Glenn because I haven't used that in a while. So yeah, Glenn from Grim Bastards. All right, and yeah, after you step away, you hear them resume the previous conversation, and they seem to be making crass jokes about each other's you know fighting abilities or lack thereof in some case. But yeah, the general atmosphere is here is fairly good. Like everyone's having a good time so far. And I think maybe half an hour into it, like as the mingling starts, just that sweet spot when the mingling starts just dragging on a bit and people start getting a bit restless. The door to the main hall opens by serving staff, and yeah, you are all welcomed into the room, dining hall.
Yeah. And so that everyone in the room that we're in is being led into the dining hall.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how to explain it, but it's basically the reception, and then there is I suppose, just a ballroom where you can mingle, and there's a bar there, so you can have drinks and all, and there's serving staff who walks around, and then where you mingle after you mingle a bit while they're preparing the restaurant area or banquet hall. And then yeah, everyone, like the doors open to the banquet hall, to the dining area, so you can, so people start gradually moving towards that so they can have some food.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'll go through there with everyone else, and I probably engage with the gear grinders as well. But I'm just sort of moving from one group to the other when I gather information.
Yep. And yeah, if you want a visual reference for what this room looks like as you're coming in, this on roll 20 I have a picture for you.
Yep, I
So
see it.
there's a couple of slight differences, um, but this is the main look of it. So the two, I suppose, the three main things, the differences are that instead of the seating arrangement on the ground floor, it's instead dining tables for in this 4 or 5 chairs per table. So you sit there and eat. The first row, uh, or first level, I suppose, beyond the ground floor, also have they have all the vendors where you'd sell all the merchandise from the tournament. Brody probably overjoyed by that when he sees several unique collector's item that you can only buy here right now today. And yeah, the other one is the third. What would this be? Yeah, the third one. So the second from the top is completely dark, but you see uh, cameras and you see camera drones hanging out there on various strategic locations from around the building. You can get the best camera angles for the performance. And then the top one is basically just what would this be? What is it called? Like basically from the railing upwards, it's just polished mirror glass, tinted mirror glass, so you can't see anything from when you look up. You can't see anything there, so that would most likely be the VIP area. And then on all of these tiers of levels, there are banners from each company that's been fighting, competing in this tournament. So you have those hanging on each tier. Not enough to block the view, but it's definitely like noticeable when you look at it. And yeah, on the stage itself and a larger scale of that, uh, hanging above the seating dinner area, is that light rig right there. It looks kind of like that. So that's pretty much the difference between the reference picture.
Okay.
Yeah, and right now it's like fully lit, so you can see everything in detail. You can see it, like I said, on the first tier. You see basically the merch area where you can buy T-shirts, statues, and all kinds of really cool stuff. That so, does any one of you wanna buy anything or in the merch area or not?
What do they have exactly?
So they have a whole range of things. So they have basically T-shirts with the team logos on. They have holovids, like exclusive, like first edition holovids of this tournament. Like, um, like why am I blanking on this? But yeah, like, and they have they because all the entire tournament here on the planet was recorded, right? They have made edited and sold it basically as a DVD or holovid, I suppose. So you can buy that like several days before the official release on the market. So they have that. They have T-shirts. They have coffee cups. Coasters. They have like action figures. Yeah, statuettes. Like maybe like a meter tall statues with the mechs, and they're not just striking the generic poses. Like it could be something like a pose from the tournament, for example. So let's say during the warfare bit, if I have a mech with a massive bastard sword was just about to strike through, uh, impale a light mech, for example, basically kick the light mech down on the ground, put his boot or put his foot down on the light mech's face, and then ram a sword through the neck of it. Like something like that would be like an exclusive collector statuette, for example, roughly a meter tall. And there is signed, autographed like versions of everything as well by the pilots who were there actually fighting. And there is highlight reels. You have the basic edition holovids with just the fights themselves, and you have the collector's edition stuff with the behind the scenes footage. So interviews with the crews and the teams helping to support the pilots. Interview with the pilots. Like, basically, whatever crazy merch you can think of, that's what they have.
Nice. Yeah, I'll be looking over some of the merch, but I don't think I think Ben just kind of looks over it, nods at it, doesn't see anything that particularly strikes his fancy.
Same. I don't think my character would be very interested in
All right.
John will probably buy a holovid.
All right. Yeah, if you buy the holovid, it's because you're part of the crew, you get a very deep discount. So it's 25 creds for you to buy the exclusive collector's edition with all the behind the scenes and blooper stuff.
Does the blooper reel include Vel destroying that cockpit?
No one knows I did that. No one knows I did that. Literally no one.
I am not sure if that would be included because that was more industrial sabotage more than anything else.
This
But
is
there is
true.
definitely there's definitely some like accidental, butt slapping nudity in the locker room kind of thing. Tasteful as it may be, it's still, a candid locker room interview with one of the pilots, and just like in Starship Troopers, if you have seen that or if you remember the scene where Rico is talking to his what's the name?
Dizzy, I think.
No, the other one. This is on the base. Carmen.
Oh yeah, I know what
Carmen.
you're talking about.
Yeah, so when Rico records the message to her and send it, all the other members of the crew of his team was basically just singing, playing violin, just intruding on the conversation, and showing their ass, that kind of crazy nonsense going on.
Oh man.
So there's a lot of crazy stuff like that that goes into the blooper and all that.
I was just hoping for that being in the blooper reel so that my character might be watching it and then just go frame by frame and then see the figure like disappear, teleporting out, and then just have a thinking emoji face looking at Vel.
I don't think that, like I said, I don't think that particular moment would be.
Yeah.
But there is definitely some. I think because that was in like the secure area, so I don't think there was any like camera footage, security cam footage allowed from there. But there is definitely one where Sarge loses her temper once too many times and just throws a chair at Carter when he tells her that there's gonna be some issues with the mech. So there is a lot of someone off camera shouting at Carter when he's trying to talk, giving the detailed explanation of what the mech is supposed to do. And I think there is like a couple of short interviews with Tarn as well, because he's one of the few cybernetic individuals on in the tournament at all.
Yeah. That's cool. I'll look over some of that stuff, but I'll eventually go back to mingling with the guest.
All right. Yeah, Brody, are you picking anything up here? All right.
Well, actually, I'll pick up a Gear Grinders jersey.
All right.
Only 10,000 credits.
Gear Grinder's foam finger.
Yeah, so because again you were listed on the team itself as a mechanic, you get it. You buy the shirt for 5 credits.
5 full credits. Never mark that down.
I mean, I know it's not some crazy price or anything, but 5 credits is 5 credits. You can buy a hot dog for that. All right. So after an appropriate amount of time of mingling and merch shilling, I think the main the food starts getting brought out, and all you sit down at the table. And I think this might be as good time as any to to end the session on a quite pleasant note for a change, rather than the usual death, violence, and terrorist activities that we usually end on.
All right.
All right. All right. So before you all run off and forget about this whole thing until I drag you back kicking and streaming next week, I would like all of you to have at least some sort of thought and possibly a moment to think about what your characters would like to do next. If there is any grand adventure you want to go on, now that we have more or less succeeded in conquering this bloody mech tournament nonsense.
You already know what my character wants to do, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
All right, cool. Yeah, for my character, I think I'm going to be studying this new fascinating martial art that I've been learning, but I'm also going to be working on building up my experience in combat. Go for some more exciting, risky scenarios with the goal of eventually setting down roots for my future underworld empire.
Excellent. And yeah, like I'm not, you're not required to come up with something cool on the spot. Like just, at least give it a thought, during the week, and then, either let me know before the session or, at least write a goal about it, so I have something to plan for, between the sessions. Because honestly, the moment I have to come up with shit on my own, that's when everything just goes sideways, like we saw today.
That never happens. Yeah, but when we plan things, you just destroy our plans and make other plans.
Yeah,
I mean, if it wasn't, yeah, go ahead.
For vehicle combat like this, because I've actually done this in some of the games I've run. One of the resources I like to use are the people that make maps for games like BattleTech and MechWarrior and stuff like that, because those are usually built to the kind of scale that you need for stuff like this, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to look into that.
Hey, you
Yeah,
didn't
like-
like his map? Don't judge his squiggly lines on the paper.
Yeah, well, I definitely like mech combat, but I'd like to do some vehicle-like combat, something like that in the future, but I'd like it to be, keep track of stuff like, you take a critical hit and now radiation is bleeding into your cockpit, or your reactor is about to go critical and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff I love about vehicle combat as a concept.
Yeah, and I'm all for that. Like I said, this was just something I threw together last minute because I didn't really. Like I've said before, I fucking hate making maps. Like it's the most annoying thing I know
Yeah.
when GMing stuff. So I thought I could get away with, theater of the mind. Just Google pictures of Grand Canyon, and that's where you're fighting. And then, well, all of you wanted a fucking detailed battle map, so I got
Yeah,
done.
because we need to know where to hide, where to go, who to shoot.
Yeah.
I think the problem I was having, especially, is because the whole like we can't see them until they're close enough, but they were able to see us. You know, like the guy with the rockets was able to shoot us forever.
Yeah, that's because they had the survey drone spotting you. They rolled well enough on the command unit on their team rolled well enough on the notice that they had you pinpointed.
Yeah, no, I
So
understand
that's
why
why
it
they could
happened. It
find
was
you.
just, it was one of those things like I didn't know where to stand, where to,
Yeah, no, I understand it. It was just I was trying more of an abstract, like
Yeah.
the fucking Star Wars game, whatever that is. By Fantasy Flight, they had like a very abstract. So you're at extreme range, then you move on to long range, move on to medium to short, like to melee, like that kind of abstract. But
hmm
yeah, that didn't work, and I didn't really do it justice, I think.
Especially with like the whole each mech has a speed and